Benjamin Netanyahu came out with this absolutely banger of a tweet today. This is the biggest Netanyahu banger tweet since he came out 3 minutes after Charlie Kirk was unalived and said, we had nothing to do with it. We totally had nothing to do with it. Charlie loved Israel. And now the trip to Israel can't happen with Charlie, even though at the Hamptons meeting, Charlie Kirk told Netanyahu, I'm not coming to your meeting. Jeffrey Epstein's unusual close relationship with Ehud Barak doesn't suggest Epstein worked for Israel. Of course not. To which I just had to respond. I said to his post with 18,000 likes, ours has 23,000 likes. Let's go. Ratio'd the Prime Minister of Israel yet again. Epstein is Mossad. I think I can pretty much say now, I don't really believe this whole story that Epstein was actually unalived either by his own doing or someone else's doing, whatever. I think he's still alive. I really, if I had to say, greater than 50% chance he's still alive, I would say greater than 50% chance he's still alive. I do think he is still alive. There's just way too much stuff that's coming up. By the way, that whole Minecraft story, I heard that was fake. So if you guys are sharing the Minecraft, Jeff, his Epstein, his Minecraft account, I heard that someone changed their username to that same Minecraft username. Are they running cover for Epstein? Did Epstein send him a few bills to say, hey, say that that's not my account? I don't know. But even with that story out of the equation, I still believe that it is quite likely that he is still alive. Okay. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu came out with this absolutely banger of a tweet today. This is the biggest Netanyahu banger tweet since he came out 3 minutes after Charlie Kirk was unalived and said, we had nothing to do with it. We totally had nothing to do with it. Charlie loved Israel. And now the trip to Israel can't happen with Charlie, even though at the Hamptons meeting, Charlie Kirk told Netanyahu, I'm not coming to your meeting. I'm not going to take this cash injection from you. And I'm not going to have you on my podcast when you come and do your little podcast tour with the Daily Wire and with Nelk Boys and whoever else, right? So this is honestly the biggest Netanyahu banger tweet we've had since that. Here we have it. Jeffrey Epstein's unusually close relationship with Ehud Barak, former Israeli prime minister, former head of Israeli military intelligence. He said, Jeffrey Epstein's unusual close relationship with Ehud Barak doesn't suggest Epstein worked for Israel. Of course not. You'd have to be so stupid to believe that, right? You'd have to be so stupid to put two and two together and believe that. He said it proves the opposite. Stuck on his election loss from over 2 decades ago, Barak has for years obsessively attempted to undermine Israeli democracy by working with the anti-Zionist radical left in failed attempts to overthrow the elected Israeli government. Barak's personal fixation led him to engage in activities publicly and behind the scenes to undermine the government of Israel, including fueling mass protest movements, fomenting unrest, and feeding false media narratives. To which I just had to respond. I said to his post with 18,000 likes, ours has 23,000 likes. Let's go. Ratio'd the Prime Minister of Israel yet again. Epstein is Mossad. And for those of you who don't know, that is Epstein on a PJ, on a private jet, covered in what is so clearly a Mossad t-shirt. Straight from the files. This is from the first batch of the files. He is in a Mossad, Israeli Mossad t-shirt here. So, it's not to say that you wear a Mossad t-shirt that makes you Mossad. I think they sell these t-shirts in Israel as merch you can buy. I'm sure you can buy FBI merch in America, right? But obviously it does go deeper than that. We have published on a lot of the ties that Epstein had or has to, depending on how you view it, to Israeli intelligence, Israeli political leadership, going back years and years, quite honestly, but going back, especially as we looked at the first batch of the files, Dropsite News did 4 pieces covering how Epstein was the main interlocutor between either the state of Israel, Mossad, or the Israeli, Defense Forces, the IDF, and other countries creating these deals, right? He was the main interlocutor between these countries, between these leaders. Four stories from Dropsite News on that. And obviously, there has been the Ehud Barak recording, lots of emails between him and Ehud Barak, former prime minister. Epstein was literally editing speeches that Ehud Barak was giving regarding the need to overthrow Assad in Syria. He was editing the speeches for Ehud Barak. They were sending them back and forth to one another. They were plotting. Epstein was plotting with Greg Brown about going into Libya and, privatizing everything, seizing all their assets. 3 weeks before Gaddafi was killed, you had obviously lots of discussion about the toppling of Assad with Ehud Barak. You had discussion about the need to remove Imran Khan. Epstein was furious about Imran Khan and his leadership in Pakistan. You had Epstein saying that Khomeini, Erdogan, Putin, Xi Jinping, these are all evil threats, right? You had, what else did you have? I'm missing some here, obviously. You had Epstein talking with Peter Thiel about the need to destabilize Iraq, Iran, Lebanon, Syria, parts of Africa, and create war and fracturing and chaos in these countries. And, there's so much you can't even list it all. Robert Maxwell, the father of his main woman, Ghislaine Maxwell, father Robert Maxwell, he was a very public Mossad agent. Everyone knows that. The list goes on and on and on. But in light of this tweet from Netanyahu, we should reflect on a few important notes here, which we have not delved into, which first one is from Dropsite News. Yet again, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu this morning is invoking Jeffrey Epstein to smear a political rival, former Prime Minister Ehud Barak from Israel's security establishment, who sits to Netanyahu's left. But Dropsite's reporting shows Epstein wasn't just tied to Barak, he also opened doors for Netanyahu too. An investigation by Murtaza Hussein and Ryan Grimm documents how Epstein facilitated a 2011 meeting between Netanyahu and senior JP Morgan executives at a decisive moment in Israel's offshore gas fight. The same day, the Knesset was voting on tax rules that would determine the future of the Leviathan gas field. Emails show JP Morgan thanking Epstein directly for securing the meeting. At the same time, Netanyahu is using state power to override antitrust law and lock in a gas framework that protected monopoly control in foreign financing. Meanwhile, Barak worked with the private side, seeking foreign partners to keep Leviathan afloat, with Epstein acting as an advisor and connector. Netanyahu ultimately forced the framework through by invoking the national security powers. Netanyahu's attempt to use Epstein to discredit a rival obscures the record. Epstein moved in the same elite financial and political circles that advance Netanyahu's own energy agenda. Ted Cruz, if Epstein served any foreign interests, Israel wasn't among them. Give me a break. Documents released by the DOJ now show that Epstein was also sending funds, no small amount, by the way, to the IDF and settlement expansion projects in Palestine, occupied Palestine. The Epstein files include IRS filings showing that Epstein's foundation donated to Friends of the Israel Defense Forces, a U.S. charity that fundraises in coordination with Israel's military establishment to support IDF soldiers and military-linked infrastructure. The same record shows donations to the Jewish National Fund, a powerful land organization widely implicated in land acquisition and settlement expansion in occupied Palestinian territory. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Over the years, millions of dollars. Epstein was also reported to have taken a tour of Israeli military bases in 2008 with Benny Shabtai, a key board member of the Friends of the IDF. Documents contained in the Epstein files revealed he also funded the organization, as we pointed out. Unclassified FBI CHS report confirmed that Epstein trained as a spy under Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, probably. And who did he work closely with thereafter? Obviously, Ehud Barak, he had a long-standing relationship with, but also his personal attorney, Alan Dershowitz. The reports from the FBI state that Epstein and Alan Dershowitz would have phone calls. After those calls, Dershowitz would allegedly speak with Mossad and provide debriefings. Epstein, allegedly, according to the report, was trained under former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak. Epstein, as you also know, I'm sure by now, represented the Rothschild family. He said in an email to Steve Bannon, as you know, I represent the Rothschilds. What was the agreement? For work specifically relating to outstanding matters between Edmund de Rothschild Holding S.A., EDRH, and the United States, $25 million payment shall be made by the Rothschild Group to STC by not later than 3 days after EDRH makes payment to the U.S. So just for one deal, he got $25 million. Also, we now have more files coming out. Current Israeli President Isaac Herzog could have potentially visited Epstein's island in 2014 as well, according to the DOJ files. We have from Melanie Spinella an email on December 10th, 2014 saying, Gratz, Charity, Herzog, Ehud coming to the island this weekend. Come, plain 3-issue art gift accounting house. This is from Jeffrey Epstein, actually. Sorry, my mistake. From Jeffrey Epstein to Melanie Spinella. So Jeffrey Epstein saying that Ehud Barak, former prime minister, Herzog, president, I don't know, Charity Gratz, I don't know what that is, but coming to the island this weekend. And also we have this. New Epstein files reveal an email entitled Photo from Visit with Bibi Netanyahu. The attachment is completely censored. Looks like files connected to Benjamin Netanyahu are totally redacted. What a coincidence. 2, Jeffrey Epstein from Jess Staley. I hope the ranch is fun. Great weather out there in the Hamptons. Operation on my shoulder on Tuesday. And this was from Jacob Frankel. Jess, I found this photo from our visit with Bibi Netanyahu. Regards, Jacob. And that was forwarded to Epstein, okay? So look, folks, there's so much weird stuff. We can't go through it all. I'm trying to get the most important parts. I mean, there's even screenshots showing that the amount of mentions of Benjamin Netanyahu in the files that have been released are decreasing day by day. I think there's over 600 mentions of Netanyahu in the files, and there have been at least 39 removals of the mentioning of Netanyahu's name in the files already. So, like, it literally doesn't end. The insanity to claim that this is some, like, totally not related to Israel, right? I mean, you have the president, you have the prime minister, you have Israeli military intelligence, you have Mossad, you have state business deals, you have state military deals, you have diplomatic deals, you have Robert. Too much. One would be too much. One would be damning. Too much. You know, nothing's going to happen. Obviously, I'm sure they left a bunch of vital information to this whole thing out of the files because Pam Bondi a few weeks ago was saying that there are 5 million files, 5 million plus files. They need to hire 400 attorneys to go through and redact the files. But then it turns out that only released 3 million files. And they were saying, oh, this is the final batch, final release. Where are the extra 2 million files you said existed? Again, the disappearing files. What else is new? Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or Give Sin Go. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.